AI automation might seem quite intimidating for non-technical people, but in reality, I'm going to show you in this set of videos called n8n for Beginners just how easy it really is. I'm here to help plug you into AI for greater productivity and creativity. And if you like videos like this, make sure to subscribe. So as you see on my screen here, you see n8n, and n8n as well as make.com are just a few options that you can choose from to set up an automation. Now with n8n specifically, I know it says on their website for technical teams, but in reality, if you really want to set up micro automations, it's sufficient enough and you don't need to be too intimidated. Now, I do have another video that talks about how to self-host n8n, and you can click in the annotations above here, I believe. What I'm going to quickly do today is share how you can set up a very simple newsfeed automation so that you can pull a bunch of articles from multiple different sources and send them to your Telegram channel like this. So just to give a quick explainer to this workflow before we begin, what it's doing here is pulling from two separate websites, TechRadar and KD Nuggets. So this is TechRadar and then KD Nuggets. And it's going to then filter down the results here. So it only takes the items that for the last 3 days. It'll merge these two items together. And then I will filter them down so that we only get 5 articles in total. And then do a little bit of formatting so we can get an output that we want that will look something like this, and then send it to our Telegram handle. Now, as you can see from my attire, I'm actually about to head out in 30 minutes or so, but this is just to show you how quickly you can actually set up an automation. It'll probably take less than 20 minutes, and that's how easy it is to get started. I'll make this a blank canvas so we can start. So what we'll do is we'll add the first step, and usually what we would do a schedule trigger because you want it to automatically send you it, but because for testing purposes it's always best to set up a manual trigger. So boom, we set our first node here, and so from there what we want to do is pull from some websites. So what I like to do is I like to look at KD Nuggets and TechRadar for just different tech news and so on, but for the topic here I have chosen specifically AI topics. So I went into their AI side and I'm at this place now where they have a couple of articles here. For KD Nuggets it's the same couple of articles here as well. And you can do this for whatever niche or whatever area of interest that you want to pull from. And so what I want to do next is then go and set up an RSS feed right here. So I click this and you'll be welcome to this screen where I'm supposed to plug in a URL. Now you might be thinking I should just plug in this URL like this. What you want to do is get an RSS feed version of the URL. What I did here was I went to Perplexity and I just simply typed in what is the RSS feed URL for a website like, and I pasted the URL and it'll tell me what the RSS feed version is. Now, if it can't find it, it'll give you a couple of hints that can indicate how you can go about creating it. It'll tell you the general structure, commonly structured as blah, 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 and then feeds. So the URL, what looks like this here, techradar.com/tag/AI, it says that the word feeds usually comes before tags. So what I'll do here is I'll test this. I'll plug this in here, feeds-tag, and then I'll plug that into a new URL and see if it works. And so if you see a page like this where it just looks like a bunch of code, you're in the right place. And you'll notice here at the top, it even says RSS. This is the general RSS feed for the original page here. And then you could just read through if it actually is pulling the right content. So it says here, September 20th, 5 ways ChatGPT can help you study. So let's check this out. 5 ways ChatGPT can help you study 23 hours ago. So it seems like it's pulling the right ones. Let's just go one more down. Is the EI a dirty word for AI? And that actually is the second one. Okay, cool. So I think I got the right feed here. And now just copy in that feed and then plug this in. So go back to n8n and then plug in the correct feeds tag.ai. And let's rename this to TechRadar RSS. Boom, now we got this done, yay. And then from here, what we'll do is we want to run this So you press the play button, and we'll see. So we got about 50 items. Now, you probably don't want 50 items being sent to your Telegram or wherever you're sending this to. What I would actually recommend in this case is something as simple as a code node. Now, you might be wondering here, well, I don't really know any JavaScript. I don't know how to code. So this is already too intimidating. These days, you can ask anything to an LLM and get the results. So I have done that for you, and I've created a conversation here with ChatGPT, and here you can see the prompt that I put in. You are an n8n expert with the latest 2025 release information, so I plugged in its persona, and then now I am giving it its job. So your job is to write JavaScript code for an n8n function node that helps filter newsfeed stories. So that's the purpose of what I'm trying to do. And then I will tell it, here's what the code should do. So it should look at each item in the feed, right? So the items being all of those 50 items. Only keep stories that are from the last 33 days. Because you can do it 5 days, you can do it however many days you want, but for my sake, I want to do it for the last 3 days, because if it's anything longer than a week, especially in the AI space, it might be old. And then, of course, you can give it some extra instructions here. If there are no recent stories, still return one item from the workflow. If there are recent stories, return only those stories. And then please write the code in a simple, clean format. Just to be transparent here, I don't know how to code either. So this is where relying on LLMs can really help you, because LLMs these days can write all the code. Do you really need to understand everything that's being written? If you do, that's great. But if you don't, you just test and iterate. So it gave me this code. So I just copy this code here, and then I will just paste that into the JavaScript. And let's execute this to see what it comes out with. So you see here 23 items in total. If I exit here, you'll see that it went from 50 items to now 23 items. So it's done its job in filtering it down. And perhaps in the last 3 days, many stories did come out. So we'll just assume 23 items. Let's rename this node to filter 3 days. And so from here, what we want to do next is then we want to format. So we want to format this in a way where when it gets sent to Telegram, it looks clean like this. Now I want to create another node that helps format the output so it's readable. I want the format to look like, and then I just gave it a sort of a title. And then I literally wrote this out line by line on how I envisioned the format to look like. So I want to take the headline of the story, the date, I want it to tell me the date it was published, so I know it's an actual recent story. And then the URL of the story, and I just copied and pasted this, put number 1 to 5, and boom, it started giving me the code itself. So I copy this, and I paste this over into the formatting node. And let's execute this and see if it actually formats it. And so if I execute it, it's run successfully, and it's actually formatted this down. But you'll notice, wait a minute, there's quite a lot of stories here. There's 21 stories. What we should do is, before this formatting one, we should actually filter this down to 5 stories in total. We want to create another filter, which is code. And we'll do a filter down to 5. That filters the stories down to 5. So I did that prompt earlier here, and I even shared a little screenshot showing it filtered down to 25, but I only want the top 5 most recent stories only. 25 is still too much. And so this is where it will give me another code output. I don't know what it's saying. And I just copy the code, and then I paste it over. So execute step. Let's see if this filters it down. It gave me a bunch of results, and it gave me a total of 5 items. So it is doing its job to filtering down to 5 items. And then setting up a Telegram. So Telegram, and then you go here and you press message and send the message. Here you go, send a text message. And then you create a send a text message node here. Now, if it's your first time in n8n, most likely you won't have a Telegram account set up. So if you want to set up a credential, you'll notice that there is an access token. Now, where do you get this access token? You'll see on the chat on your Telegram, you can type in something called bot father. You'll see this little chat here where you can get started and you just type in /new bot. It'll then ask you a couple of questions like, what are we going to call it? I call it Miami bot. and then it will tell you, okay, great. If it works, then it will give you this little result here where it will give you a link to your bot name and then this little access token right here. Now, I won't be showing the full thing just for privacy purposes, but you'll get your unique code here. So you can click this and it'll automatically copy to the clipboard. Then you go back to your n8n and then you paste that exactly into your access token right there. So once you have that set up, you can then get your chat ID. If you hover over this, it'll tell you to add and ask get_id.bot, and you can do that in your Telegram itself. And you'll get a unique chat ID that you can then plug this into here. Once you have that set up, then you just get for the text here, you just drag and drop this formatted text, and let's see if it works. So now we got a 5-story feed, and so that's pretty much you setting up your first simple automation for getting a news feed from a single source that you liked. Now earlier I showed you that I was pulling from 2 different sources, and so a lot of this is just then duplicating what you want to do. So if I just duplicate this, I can duplicate it and then we'll pull somewhere else. So this time we pull from KD Nuggets. I did the same thing where I asked what is the KD Nuggets article URL, and it gave me something like this. Now, once again, it's often going to say it doesn't actually have the URL, but it can get hints from what its structure is. So it's saying something like enter /feed. The URL for KD Nugget looks like something like this. So if I were to /feed, and let's test this out. Let me go back and type this. Boom, we get another nice RSS feed article, and I can reference it as I want. Right? You don't need to read all this, but you should just see if the stories align with what you're looking for. So if I plug this then in, let's go back. I'll plug this now into this. Ooh. And then let me rename this to KD Nuggets RSS. And then I can drag this to connect this to dots. And then I can do the same where I will filter by the 3 days. This one I don't need to create new. I just create again, filter. Let's call this KD Nuggets filter. Just so we like to keep things clean. Tech radar filter 3 days. I have this set up. I connect this. And now you might be thinking, well, I probably have to duplicate this as well. And this is where you don't want to duplicate another one, because then you're going to have multiple different operations going at the same time. So this is what you want to do instead, is go to + and hit merge. If you hit merge, it will merge multiple sources into a single source. And so let's get rid of this and then put this, drag the tech radar into input 1, drag KD Nuggets into input 2. So since both are connected, let me press play. And it'll run the tech radar as well. So it's getting 23 items sent into merge and 4 items from KD Nuggets sent into merge. So that would be 27 items in total. So if I were to click this, I can see here there will be 27 items. And so this is where afterward, I will then plug this into the filter down to 5. And then let's see, if I press this, it has filtered everything that is all 27 items down to 5. And then the automation goes as follows. So now, this time, if I were to press play again for sending a text message to Telegram, boom, I will get the results. It's pulling from TechRadar because TechRadar has the top 5 most recent articles. And that might be the case because if we go back to KD Nuggets, the last article was September 16th, 2025. While TechRadar, it is pulling from 23 hours ago, yesterday. So it actually may be the case that with TechRadar, it is actually pulling the 5 most recent articles. Maybe in the future, when this automation runs, it'll mix and match. But there you have it. That's the flow. You now have a personal newsfeed that is taking from multiple different websites and then creating a sort of custom newsfeed sent to your Telegram, personalized for you. And you can keep building this out with more and more sources if you'd like. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and write down any comments below on what you want to see next. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you can keep staying plugged in to AI for greater productivity and creativity. See you next time.